Hey guys, I'm Jacqueline.
And I'm Marcella.
And we just got back from the movies. We just saw Avengers Endgame.
Yes. And it's currently like 4 a.m. because this movie was 3 hours. And
but it didn't feel like 3 hours.
We saw it at like 12:20. And yeah, it actually
went by so fast.
It didn't feel long at all. Like I was shocked at how short it actually felt.
Yeah.
We're gonna say a couple of thoughts before we start getting into spoilers.
Yeah, so we absolutely love this movie so much. The best Marvel film ever. The best film of the year for sure. I mean, it was just perfect. It was nostalgic. It was so amazingly edited. The music, the characters. It was everything.
It was epic. It was epic.
It was battle. Yeah. It was just a lot. Like there were such amazing character moments, and I feel like it was honestly like the way to describe this movie. It was just a celebration of Marvel films. Like it was.
Yes, for sure.
It was just so amazing. We cried. There was a lot of crying.
It exceeded my expectations. Yeah, there was crying.
There was cheering.
Yeah.
There was screams.
So I don't think we really want to say anything non-spoilery too much because
I don't know how much I want to tell you because I feel like this is something that you have to experience.
Yeah,
like,
you have to go into it not knowing spoilers, honestly, because you just don't want to know.
You don't want to know. Like they've been like promoting this like heavily, like don't spoil the end game, don't spoil the end game. But like seriously, like don't. Like
just go see it.
An incredible experience.
We don't want to tell you anything because we don't want to like accidentally say a spoiler and like, that's non-spoilery. So like we're just not gonna
go away if you haven't seen it. Just go see it.
We're just gonna get right into spoilers because we're like dying to talk about it. So yes.
So goodbye if you have not seen it, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so the beginning of this movie is really sad, actually. You know, we're post-Infinity War. Things are not good. We see Tony up in space, which we saw in the trailer, and we just get right into it. He's really not doing well. He's running out of oxygen.
I would say that the beginning of the movie was definitely, it was just sad because it was the aftermath of
losing everybody.
The ending of last movie. And so, yeah, the tone was just very sad. And yeah, seeing Tony like that in space was just, it was just really hard to watch that. And him like recording like the videos and all of that. And I love though like when Captain Marvel comes in because it's like, okay, like we have a little bit of hope right now. And then from there I think the hope kind of grew and grew once it was like, okay, like we have like this, we have like something that we found that we might be able to use. So no, I really loved when she came in and she saved him. And I really actually, we were talking about this in the car, I liked the way that they used her in this movie because they didn't overdo it because, you know, she's not part of like our crew, you know, that we've been with forever. Like she's new. So I really like that they only utilized her a few times in the film. But every time that they did, I thought it was amazing. And it was really epic. But then, you know, when they go down, and I really loved when he saw Steve and, like, everybody was together. And then they're like, let's go get this son of a bitch. And then the music comes up, the audience is cheering, and we're like, yes, like, we're doing this, like, let's go. And I think that we were all shocked when we figure out where Thanos is. We all go there. And Thanos is like this like sad, like he's
not doing too well either.
He was just
defeated even though he won.
It was weird, like because he
gave the stones, he got rid of them.
He got rid of the stones and he used like all of his like energy for that. So he was just like not even fighting them. Like it literally was just like one Thor just like hit him and then that was it. That's it. He's dead. And I was looking at Jacqueline. I'm like,
what just happened?
What?
Well, I really love that how he said he was like, I went for the head. Like he mentioned, he had like a funny line, and then it was done because then they kind of realized like, okay, like there is no more stones. Like we've really lost. At least they kind of avenged themselves by killing Thanos. But then we skip 5 years.
Yes.
And the shock. We were just like, what the fuck? We're 5 years in the future now. So they have all had to live 5 years without everyone. And
they had to learn to accept what happened for 5 years. And
yeah, I love that twist though. I thought that was great. Like I really love the way that they killed like present day Thanos like immediately. And then it just skip. Like, I thought that was really, really well done, because it made you, like, nervous about when Thanos was gonna come back, because it was kind of like, you know that this is not it, but you didn't know how it was gonna work out. So I really liked that
obviously we knew it was something with the time travel, because then when Ant-Man came in, it was like, okay, like here we go.
I freaking loved Ant-Man. If you guys know, we love Ant-Man so much. I think Scott's hilarious, and he had such amazing moments in this movie. There were so many highlights with him.
Yeah, he really did. He was in it quite a lot too. He was in it more than I thought that he would. Yeah, I really enjoyed his character.
I loved that Tony had a daughter, because I think that that made more on the line for him when he went with them all to help them with time travel. But I really like that at first he tells them no, because he's like, I've accepted it. I've had 5 years. I have a beautiful little girl. I have a wife. Like, I'm happy now, you know? Like, not happy, but like, he's at peace and he's moved on.
He accepted. Nobody else did, but he did, because he had that family. And yeah, that was his character was in this movie. And like that part where he actually figures it out, and you could just see that he's struggling within himself, because he knows that, like, if he goes back, that's like he's putting his family on the line, and like he's risking himself, so he's scared about that. But at the same time, like, I like the conversation that he has with Pepper, and he's telling her that he figured out the time travel, and he's kind of like, I could just go dump it in the lake, and like I could go to sleep. And then she's like, would you be able to rest though? And that really gets him, because he knows that, like, this is like a chance and to bring back everybody. And
well, I love that what really pushed him was seeing the picture of him and Peter, and that
my heart when he saw that, that was the feels.
That was really emotional, especially when we get towards the end, but not gonna talk about that yet. And I love how he goes to the mall and he's like, I figured it out. But before that, when they had Bruce like use it and like figure it out with him, and that they put Scott in, and then he comes out and he's like a baby.
That was one of my favorite parts.
Like
that was one of my favorite parts of him, actually.
That was hilarious. And then when he comes out as a baby, they're like, bring him back, bring him. And they're like, he'll grow.
And then he's like, I don't know which one be. He was like, if it was baby me or old me or me.
It was just fantastic. There was so much comedy. Like, there was so many like comedic moments in this movie. I feel like this movie just had a lot of heart. Like, it had emotional moments, it had laugh out loud moments, it had a lot of great character development and closing storyline moments, and it was just so amazingly done. And like, you could tell that this has been like 22 years in the making. Like, you could tell that this has been such a huge momentum for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's just really fucking emotional.
It was wonderful to watch. Like, it really was. I love how when Iron Man first shows up, he gives Cap the shield. I just love that, and I feel like that was more like the hopeful tone, and it was like, okay, like they were doing this, like we're ready, we're ready to go.
After that scene, when before they end up getting ready, we felt bad for poor Scott. He lost his taco. Like, I thought the taco scene was just really funny. Like, there was just so many little moments that they put in that just lightened the tone and just made it hilarious.
Oh yeah, exactly. Especially in the beginning and like the first like.
I would say the beginning,
the beginning of the movie, when it's like this sad tone, we still had these little moments in where it was just like happy and like the banter and
Then we find Thor, because we got to get our crew back together, right? And Thor is just this drunk, and oh my god, it's so funny. And it felt like a lot of like his moments where he would just start like randomly crying. It felt very like all of the fans like post Infinity War.
Literally.
Like, I don't know if they were trying to represent us in there or what, but it was just,
this is what you're gonna become after this movie ends.
It was just so fantastic, and I really loved his friendship with Rocket. I thought that was so great.
Yeah, well, those two like teamed up together later on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that friendship. And then once we're all together, we have that amazing, powerful moment when the music is going.
Cap speech.
It's whatever it takes.
I love it.
And then, we end up time traveling, and we have all these different teams, and we're all going to get the stones, and then we're gonna come back, and it's gonna be fine. It's a very easy, it sounds like a really easy plan. Obviously it's not, but
I love that idea though.
Yeah.
I love that they did that because we got to go back to moments that like we've seen already.
That's where the nostalgic tone came in.
I was just like, it was incredible. Like that was such an amazing idea. And
no, like to be back in New York City and have that like iconic shot of like all the Avengers when it like circles around, and then have them like kind of see their past selves, but like they obviously like they can't like well, what ended up happening was Cap, which was freaking awesome. Like when he ends up seeing him, oh my god, that
Captain America versus Captain America. And he thought he thought it was Loki.
Yeah.
Which Loki, before that, ends up disappearing with
Loki.
With the
he went to his TV show to Disney Plus, because where did he go?
Yeah, like that whole scene where Loki disappears, that never got brought
that was
up again.
open.
Yeah,
so I'm assuming we'll see that in his show that's gonna be out. So,
but the scene with Captain America versus Captain America, I was on the edge of my seat during that. I sat up, I was like, oh my god,
like, what is going on?
That was just so exciting, like to see them fighting each other, and it was just, I loved that.
I really appreciated the line about "that's America's ass," and then Scott salutes it, and then at the end when he like beats like his past selves, he is America's ass.
Yeah, I love that. That was a great line.
Really great, and it just it cracked me up. I was dying. I thought there was just so many like nostalgic moments, especially like when we're still with them and they end up, like Tony ends up seeing his father, which I thought was great, and I feel like that was
a really great way
nice
of closing that.
Yeah, and he got to, I really liked that when he said he's just like he kind of gave him parenting advice, which I thought was really great. Like it was just such a great conversation. And then meanwhile you had Steve seeing Peggy through the glass, and my heart just,
especially with the, like knowing the ending now, and like
I was just really, I can't. That scene, like, and the fact that like he's like in like a uniform and he's like looking at her, it's like, it was just so like so wonderfully done, and it just really got me emotional.
I'm gonna cry about it. Like,
I don't know how we're gonna get through this.
A couple of weeks, because it's emotional with Cap in this movie. It really is. I really love though, before they end up going to like the 1970s and stuff, we get the scene with Cap and Iron Man of like the "Do you trust me?" I thought that was a really nice scene between the two of them. Yeah, we had like we had a lot of really great moments with the two of them. Yeah,
and I felt like that was so important because those two really started everything, you know, like those two they've been through a lot together, and I love their friendship, honestly. And I felt like
it wasn't always a friendship either.
I know, like, and that's what's great about it, though.
Yeah, that's why I love that scene where it was like, "Do you trust me?" And it was just,
it was great.
Very emotional. A lot of the scenes were very emotional.
Oh my god! And then we had Stan Lee's cameo, which was I'm so happy that he was able to do a cameo in this movie, and I really,
that made me really happy to see
I was so happy to see him. I thought that was
everybody started cheering. Yeah.
I felt like by going back, it left this open room for all of these characters to have these necessary conversations with their past and like face things that have happened. Like I really, I love Thor's conversation with his mom. I thought that was really sad, but I really liked that too. And
yeah, especially because that pushed him to, like at that moment he called his hammer and it came to him, and he's like, I'm still worthy.
Yeah.
So he really needed that in order to give him that push, so that way he, you know,
was able to Thor
fight,
again.
To fight, and because he was feeling really down, he was in a bad place. So yeah, he was able to get back to that place where he can be a hero.
Exactly.
So yeah, I thought that was really great. And him and Rocket's dynamic was really, really funny. He ran away from him.
I love that right before they went back, we heard like the music of the Guardians, and then all of a sudden we have Chris Pratt dancing again, and like that iconic scene in Guardians. I love that they brought that in, and then you had like that fun shot of like him like singing and dancing and stuff.
I thought it was really clever the way that they did it, where like we go back in time and we were able to see these characters who disappeared in the last movie. So they're not in this, like the first half of this movie, but they are, because we're going back and we're still being able to see them. So that was like a good way of like keeping them in the movie. That way it wasn't like, oh, we have to wait till like the very end when they show up to the fight. Like we still saw them throughout the movie. So it was a way of like keeping them in. So.
I love what they did with Gamora. I really loved how they had her in from the past, and now that's gonna be like the Gamora that is gonna be in the next Guardian movie.
I didn't expect to see Gamora
I thought that was really
yeah.
exciting that how they brought her back in that way. And not like brought her back, but like they kept the character there, which is really exciting. It was devastating seeing Natasha sacrifice herself and her and Clint go back and forth, and to see Natasha be where Gamora was in the last movie, like to be back in that place where it was the whole, you know, soul for a soul, life for life. Like they had to, one of them had to go, and the realization and the devastation and the heartbreak was just...
But it kept going back and forth. Like, I really thought it was going to be Clint because he was, like, he jumped and... It made that scene all the more heartbreaking and devastating because she's hanging from holding on to him, and it wasn't just like, okay, like he sacrificed himself and jumped. It was like, no, like he's holding on to her and then she lets go, and it was just
so hard.
It was, that was a hard scene to watch.
I was that's when like the real like
that's when the tears
started to fully fall, and then you know, we go back to present time, and we're all there, and everybody's excited. Everybody's got the stones, and
then it was like, oh,
we're missing Natasha, and it was just devastating the way that they all had like that moment. And you know, Bruce is like, well, maybe we can bring her back, and it was like, no, like that she's one we can't bring back. It was just so hard to see that whole thing. Oh my god, the scene when they make like their own little gauntlet, right? And then we have Bruce who snaps, and then there's like a fucking explosion.
Oh,
okay, so and we had like a moment where it was like peace, and it was like, okay, like everything is okay for a little bit, and then it was like, wait, I think it worked, and then it was like,
well, because...
No jokes on all of us.
Well, because the whole problem was that Nebula
fucked up.
The memories, like, because they were connected, and because it's, like, she's not human.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was just bad, and so now past Thanos knows, like, what's going on, so when he showed up, it was just like...
Oh my god.
Boy, here we
like,
go. And it was like, we knew it was gonna happen, and... Yeah, he's scary. I feel like I was just like on the edge of my seat, like, oh no, like what is he gonna do? And it was just
yeah. Nebula in this movie was she's a great character, and she had a really big role. She had a really big part. I really liked how she had to face, like, present day Nebula had to face her past. I thought that was really interesting, and having like her sister there, and I really appreciated those moments that we got with Gamora. There was this shot that we got of Thor, Steve, and Tony when they were all walking and facing Thanos in like the debris.
And it was literally like the beginning. It's like, here we go. We're getting ready. The battle's about to start. This is it. Where we're gonna.
This is it. Here we go.
This is it. And I'm like thinking like, the three of them, that's it. The three of them. That's it. Like, what? And it was like, he was literally just sitting there.
Yeah.
Like, just sitting there.
Yeah, I really like that they like kind of like watch him and they're like, what is he doing? Yeah. Like, what? Because you never know what the hell this guy's gonna end up doing. But he was just waiting. Because he knew that they were all gonna come, and he was waiting he needed those stones, and oh my god, the way that it all ended up happening, like, I loved that fight scene so much. Like, you got Thor, who's calling up the thunder, and
the three of them going at it. I really appreciated how, like, we had that mini battle with just the three of them.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. And, guys, one of the best parts was when Thor's hammer came to Cap, like...
when
everybody started screaming in our
screamed. I've never screamed that way in a movie theater.
I've never heard an audience in a movie theater like
oh
that.
My god.
Like, get like that. Like when I tell you the audience like
just blew up. Everybody
into
just
like this cheer. Like, it was powerful. I like got chills. I was like about to start crying because it was just so powerful. It was just like, I thought that was so cool, that scene, and I'm gonna start crying talking about it. Like, that scene, yeah.
He really deserved that ending he got.
He had so many incredible moments, like,
oh my god, you guys.
It was looking really bleak though, because then he got his ass kicked, and it was like, oh no, like,
oh my god,
is he gonna go down? Like, this is not good. And then all of a sudden, it was like everybody shows up finally.
You see Black Panther first. We got like the shadow of him coming in, and then but before that, it was just really like eerie, the shot that we got of like this entire army coming, and we just had Captain America facing it like on his own, and then he gets like a call from Sam.
And the shield was broke too.
Yeah, it was just so powerful. And then to have Black Panther come, and we got everybody was coming in, everybody was cheering, and everybody was screaming.
That was when like everybody comes in who like disappeared. Everybody comes in, and it was just like everybody's back, and like Spider-Man comes in and everybody started cheering.
Oh my god.
We did him saying it was Avengers Assemble, and like the hammer comes back.
Avengers Assemble, and we were all going, we were all running. It was everything that I imagined the fight scene would be in this movie. And I love that we had that moment with Tony Stark and him. Like Peter goes up to him and he's like, I don't know what happened. I woke up and you were gone. But then there was this yellow thing. He hugs him, and it was just really, really sweet. And I really love that they got to have that little moment before everything went insane. And then it was like the huge battle. And there were so many fucking awesome shots in the battle scene itself. Like, I love that everybody.
I've never seen a battle scene like that.
Oh my god. I love that everybody was just passing around like the gauntlet, like back and forth. Everybody was just kind of
like the teamwork in that scene was like phenomenal.
And you had like Valkyrie up there, and I love that when like you had Spider-Man, he was getting like overwhelmed with everything, and then she like helped. It was just everything about that. Everything about the entire battle was just unbelievable and incredible and epic and fantastic, and
all the
can't speak highly enough about that entire.
Like, I'm about to cry thinking about this battle scene because it was just so wonderful.
Like the last hour of this movie, I don't think I stopped crying.
Yeah.
It was just so amazing to see everybody together fighting and defeating him.
That moment when Captain Marvel came in and blew up his ship.
Yeah, she came in right.
Because I feel like we were all looking for her. Like I look at Jacqueline, I'm like, where's Captain Marvel?
I was like,
is
where the hell
is she? I'm like, we need her. Like we knew she was gonna show up at some point. Yeah. And it was like the perfect moment because then the ship blew up, and it was just fantastic the way that she came in. Like that was such a great moment, and the fact that like I really love that she tried to get the gauntlet off of Thanos, and we had like a fight scene between the two of them, because I think that's something that everybody wanted to see after Captain Marvel, because once we had her in Captain Marvel, it was like, all right, well, Thanos is done. We have to see like how they're gonna face each other. And so I liked though that she couldn't get the gauntlet off, and he ended up being able to overpower her in that way. Well, yeah, because
this wasn't really her fight, you know? Like, I felt like this was, like, it was a great scene, but I felt like I really love the fact that it was Iron Man that...
which it had to be, and Doctor Strange knew that. That moment when Doctor Strange holds up the one, and it goes back to that conversation that they had when he's like, he told them, like, I can't tell you what it is, or it's not gonna happen, and just this whole time he knew that was what had to happen, and that he needed to be the one to do that, and it was just it was just devastating, but at the same time
it was so great.
I think that it was exactly. I think that it was
a good conclusion for him.
Exactly, because he had a lot of his storyline wrapped up in this movie. And that moment, like, it was just so heroic. It really was.
He's like, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, and then he does the snap, and it was just
and then he's there, and then you have Peter come up to him, and Peter's like, we won, Mr. Stark, we won. And then you have Pepper there, and she's like, we're gonna be okay, you can rest now. And I was just...
Yeah, that was hard to watch, it really was.
I was just devastated. Like... But, like, I felt like that was such a great thing for his character. It was just, like, fuck. To see Thanos turn to dust was so satisfying.
Yeah, seeing him turn to dust, like thank God. Oh, after all the hell that he's put us through in our characters. Guys, on a happier note, Thor has now joined the Guardians.
Yes, so Thor's gonna be in the next Guardian movie. But it's so exciting because
I really like that though, because I feel like Thor in this movie just didn't know what he was doing.
No.
He just kind of lost himself, and I think that that'll be really, really fun to have him with the Guardians, and I think that like his dynamic
Star-Lord
with
too.
Star-Lord, like,
So good.
the two of them are just so hilarious together, and I'm so excited for that banter.
And Rocket's there. It's just,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a great time. I'm very excited for that movie. And then they broke our hearts again, because then we have Captain America, who's like, Steve's like, I'm gonna take the stones, I gotta put them back and everything, get rid of them. When he said goodbye to Bucky, you kind of knew that Bucky knew he wasn't coming back, and I lost it. I was devastated.
That was really, really, he was like, I'm gonna miss you, and it was just like,
and he's like, you'll be okay. And then, you know, they count it down, and Sam's just like, bring him back, and then
you see him sitting there, and then he's old, and it's like, that's what he did, because he just wanted to live that life with Peggy, and I feel like that
he wanted to get that happily ever after.
That end of his character was just so, it was just so poetic in that way, that he had that life with her that he wanted, and
the music at the end, and they were dancing,
and then
it was just that moment, and then the funeral moment when Tony says to his daughter, when he's like, I love you 3000, those two, I just couldn't handle
the tears.
I was really like, and I love that conversation with Sam at the end, and he gave him the shield. It was just, oh my god, it was just so perfect. Like,
I was so happy for him though, that he got to live out that life with Peggy, and like,
yeah,
I was just so happy he didn't actually die in this movie, and he got a happy ending.
He had
like,
a really
thank you.
And he was at peace with it. Like, he was so happy.
Yeah.
Like, you could just tell, like, his whole, like, demeanor changed. Like,
he was just exactly, like,
he was just happy that he got to be with Peggy and live this life. And I love that he mentioned, he was like, I figured I'd see what Tony was talking about. And it was just wonderful, and this movie was just amazing. We loved it so much.
We're going and seeing it again. We're already planning on going and seeing it again, and yeah. So I think that's really our thought.
I feel like we're missing some moments.
We're probably missing some moments.
It was a 3-hour movie.
3-hour movie. So we tried to talk about everything that we could remember and that we wrote down in our notes. So yeah, so let us know your favorite parts down in the comments below, what you thought, and if you cried, and all of that.
Yes, we'd love to know what you guys thought of the movie and what your favorite scenes were. And yeah, you can also follow our social media. We are at City of the Field.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye!